Hey, so this video is about Keke Palmer's situation with her ex-boyfriend Darius Jackson. As you may know, there have been abuse allegations that she has alleged towards him. There is a video that she's showing from her home security of him abusing her. He, of course, has fired back that, he said, well, Kiki's mom threatened him, but it appears that Kiki's mom threatened him after he, put his hands on her daughter. But also, Darius alleges that Keke abused him throughout the relationship. So you do have some video evidence, but you also have a lot of, well, she did this and he did this. And, obviously, domestic abuse is a really serious topic, but I did want to put that out there for anyone who did not know. So I do know of Keke Palmer from seeing her, grow up as like a child actress to, where she is now in her career. Keke is a Virgo as well, and we actually have a couple of placements that are similar. We have the same Venus sign, we have the same sun sign. We both have Pluto and Scorpio. I mean, that's for anyone born within the same cluster of years, even if you're a little bit older, a little bit younger than someone, Pluto is a long transit. So that's not really that shocking. But also, in that regard, we also have Moon and Sag. And when I was pulling up her information, this is not a verified time. However, if this was her birth time, the 3 o'clock a.m., it would not surprise me because this chart at first glance matches a lot of things that, if you have heard anything about her over the years, that kind of matches. But regardless, if she were born later that day, she could be a Capricorn moon. Now, though the moon is the inward part of us and is not always as obvious or observable as your rising or your sun or something like that, she comes off as moon and Sag energy is very much about being, optimistic, and it's not about everyone having like, wishful thinking and, butterflies and right. It's not about that, but it's about Moon and Sag knows how to keep it pushing, keep it moving forward when there's setbacks. Sag energy, especially the moon, the internal part is just kind of like, well, what next? What do I do next? Right. And so I do kind of see that in Keke. And also, she is a very open Virgo. She's very expressive. She's funny. She has, she had the one when she was doing some social media skits, like she was funny. She would like dress up as a character, like she's very funny. So I wouldn't be surprised if Keke Palmer's chart, no matter what it is, has some fifth house energy, like fifth house entertainment, joy, confidence, all of those things. I would not be surprised if she has fifth house placements. So, but also she's a very, outspoken Virgo. Her sun is conjunct Mercury, right? She also has her sun at the third degree, which in the degree system I use would be associated with Gemini-like energy, which is, which could explain why she is a Virgo who is very much, very expressive. But at the same time, if you ever hear Keke speak, I do think I kind of see the Mercury and Virgo in her. She follows a certain pattern, a certain logic, a certain way in which she looks at things, even when she's being funny. Okay. And I do think people don't realize that Virgos can be pretty good comedians, believe it or not, right? There's quite a few Virgo comedians. Cat Williams is a Virgo. Dave Chappelle's a Virgo. So Virgo can be a funny sign, okay, when they're at work, right? Like you'll probably see like a Virgo comedian's more likely to be funny when they're doing that as their craft. And, Virgo in their private time might be a different person. But anyway, I just wanted to get that out the way. Heard of Darius Jackson? He was introduced as being the younger brother of Soranus Jackson. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Soranus Jackson was played a character on the show Insecure. So from what I know, apparently Darius Jackson he's been in, a fitness trainer and some other things and some other projects he's worked on. I don't really know a lot about him, but let's get into this. So what first stood out to me about these two individuals, of course, yes, start with the sun sign. I am not doing a birth chart reading for these people because A, I don't have their birth times. B, we're here to talk about the allegations and the type of relationship they may have had, right? At first thought, I'm like, okay, we know that Virgo and Aquarius are quincunx signs. It could be awkward energy. However, I do notice that Virgo and Aquarius can typically make good friends, especially, friends who are, um, friends who talk a lot. There's a similar way in which Virgo and Aquarius likes to really think deeper about something and not just take it for what it is. So Aquarius, of course, is like thinking outside the box. Aquarius likes to solve puzzles, right? And Virgo likes to solve problems. And Virgo knows there's a little bit more to it and wants to know the details. So you can have Virgo and Aquarius end up having good conversation. I wouldn't be surprised if the first time they met, they likely had a good conversation. He also has his Mercury in Aquarius, and she has her Mercury in Virgo. So I wouldn't be surprised, right, that there is some connection there. Virgo and Aquarius energy too can sometimes bond over being kind of outcast, or bond over being different than other people, right? Virgo can sometimes have like those, Aquarius can have that quirkiness, but so can Virgo, right? Virgo might sometimes be seen as reserved or quiet, waiting for the chance to really open up. And Aquarius has an open mind, and so Virgo may not feel as judged by the Aquarius, right? So at first glance, I'm not surprised that a Virgo and Aquarius would, on a surface level, be interested in each other. Okay. Um, Now, I did hear that in their initial meeting, she was more of the what's the word? I don't say aggressor, but she was the one kind of pursuing him a little bit. And again, I would wonder in her real birth chart what her moon in Sag house is, because I wonder if that would be part of it. Venus in Cancer is not an energy that's going to pursue someone. Virgo really isn't that as well. And Mars and Libra is kind of can be like passive in a way. So I would love to know, like, that would help us understand more. But basically, who started it, they got together, they have a child, a son. So, but at first glance, I'm like, but you have to understand the difference, because eventually a Virgo and Aquarius person, there's going to be those differences. Yes, you may get along on the surface level and have great conversations, but then Virgo's going to want things a certain way, and Aquarius does not like following a routine or a system, especially when it feels like somebody's imposing it on them. So you got to be careful with that, right? Also, what I noticed was their moon signs. Now, again, I don't have birth times. I am like, look, I'm 99% sure she has to be a Sag moon, because it just makes sense. If she was a Capricorn moon, I think KeKe would be a very different person. Okay, a Virgo with a Capricorn moon would be very, very different. Okay, and his moon is in Taurus. Again, depending on the time he was born, if there was a chance that day that it moved into, Taurus, moon in Taurus moved into Gemini. Again, possible, but from what I've seen in this, the description of relationship, it would make sense if he's a moon in Taurus. Moon in Taurus energy can be a little possessive. Now, not to the same extent of the reason why Scorpio might be, but Moon in Taurus knows what it likes, it knows what it wants, it wants things a certain way. Marry that with the fact that he's already in Mars in Capricorn, and you're going to get that, what we saw of him a couple of months ago with Usher serenading KeKe, and then Darius went to Twitter to say, why is she wearing that? Why is she doing that? She's a mother. That right? That's mine. Like, why is she doing that? Right? That's not appropriate, because Moon and Taurus, whether they're right or wrong, they kind of told themselves on having a certain sense of loyalty to their values. So even a person who's not very, righteous themselves can sometimes come off that way with that Taurus energy. It's like that kind of, well, that's not the right way to do it. You need to have some taste. You need to have some decorum, right? That's a very Taurus type thing. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a moon in Taurus, because moon in Taurus and moon in Sag, I just don't think there's a lot of compatibility there, unless the people intentionally want to be together. What do I mean? If a Sag person likes being with a Taurus because they realize they need someone who is consistent, who is thorough, they're tired of drama, they're tired of getting into messy stuff, and they're drawn to Taurus energy, that can work. If a Taurus person knows they want a little bit more of adventure in their life, they want to look somebody that has like just a different way of looking at life and can open them up to new possibilities, then a Taurus and Sag can work. But when Sag and Taurus energy has to coexist, and it does not want to do that willingly, you can have issues. His inner motivation is going to be very different than her inner motivation, and he's going to be more stuck in her ways. And a moon and Sag person, regardless of how they come across, they cannot be stifled. Okay, you cannot kill that part of them. On the other hand, he's an Aquarius, and he has a lot of Aquarius energy. He has a lot of Aquarius energy. Now, sometimes what I'll see here, Aquarius and Capricorn energy, again, this is just the astrological point of, but it can happen. Too much of that in a male chart, and let's say a male chart, a man who takes on society's view of masculinity, right? That's what I, right? Because everything we're conditioned by society, and we choose whether we're going to believe certain things or not, right? Can have that controlling aspect to them, because Aquarius can think they're smarter than everybody, right? So they're, and the Virgo, is like, I'm more correct than you. So their arguments were probably epic, okay, and they probably play a lot of mind games against each other. But I'll get into that in a moment. But if he has other a Capricorn stellium and an Aquarius stellium, and if he takes on these traits of like trying to dominate or trying to be overly traditional, even though he was not married to her, you can have a man that comes across with that Aquarius uninvolved God complex. Again, this is just me. You can have the energy. I don't know him. I don't know her. I'm talking about the energy. You can have that, right? That and what's interesting about this concept of Aquarius and this God complex is he apparently, so there's a show apparently called Homelander, and it's a superhero show to my understanding. And apparently it's like a guy who he had to like kill someone, and he basically doesn't have the capacity to love, and he's a very cold character. That's all I know about it. I had to look it up. But people were like really up in arms, some of them, when they saw him tweet a picture of him and his son. And he said, when I'm not around my son, I feel like Homelander. I understand why he might, like, he went into these this kind of try to compare himself to that character that we know is not a good person, right, according to what the story is about. And so that's that Aquarius stuff. That's kind of weird to say something like that, but Mercury and Aquarius will do that. And so it'll kind of jolt you a little bit. And the Virgo part of KeKe is probably, you know what I mean, though KeKe is very expressive, she's very entertaining, there is a part of her that probably is kind of proper in a way of like, things need to be, this is not okay, this is not right now. Again, with their relationship, they've been together for about 2 years. A lot of this stuff has been going on for a long time, as we see by what they are reporting in terms of their relationship issues. um in terms of the Venus signs, Venus in Cancer, it needs more of a softer touch in terms of feeling like they can open up to their partner. Okay. She's Venus in Cancer. She is probably very protective over her son. And I think this is likely what him saying certain comments, him doing certain things in front of their son, is likely what triggered KeKe to be like, oh no, this is not something I'm going to go back and forth with him. This has got to stop. That protective nature probably took over. Now, also, he has Venus in Aquarius. You have to be careful sometimes with Venus in Aquarius, right? Venus in Aquarius, one, can romanticize societal expectations of relationships. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, like, he cared about what society thought about KeKe wearing what she was wearing and Usher singing and serenading to her, right? But we don't really know if he cared on a level of, oh, this is hurtful to me, right? Because this chart of his doesn't show a lot of emotional vulnerability. It just does not at all. Okay. Now he has his stellium, his Capricorn stellium could actually, he could be successful if he wanted, like whatever that's actually a positive of his chart. So regardless of whose side you're on or what you think or don't think about someone's chart, everyone's chart can have something positive that they could activate and something negative, right, as well. But the point here is we need to be careful. Because Venus and Aquarius, unless there's other balancing factors in the chart, can like relationships for the sake of having one, right? Because Venus and Aquarius is always going to find a cause that's more important than sometimes the relationship they're in. But sometimes it's not bad. It's not that they don't care about their partner, but they're involved in something. Their true love and appreciation is for whatever group they're a part of, whatever friendship, whatever networks they are a part of. Venus and Aquarius loves the kind of like the social aspect of things. But I do think there was a part of their relationship where they bonded over, being together, also bonded over just feeling different. Whatever that is, I can't really, pinpoint what it is, but I'm not surprised if that KeKe's felt, different her whole life for something, and he's felt different his whole life. And like there was kind of that shared understanding, like, oh, we see each other. But again, a relationship is deeper than that stuff, right? You have to really understand the person inside and out and be willing to really make it work. Now, the reason I said be careful is because Venus in Aquarius, he can probably, based on this, come across as somebody who is contextualizing his relationship in terms of society. I wouldn't be surprised if he's someone that's like, oh, see, this is how women are. Oh, see, this is how they treat you. Or, he's going to use something about, he's trying to pull on the heartstrings of like other people, right? To, to, to make it seem like what he's going through is something that is like so much a part of how people are treated. It's not fair. This isn't right. I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. What I also wouldn't be surprised about is the fact that they have different ideas of how to do things. He's a Mars and Mars and Capricorn. Mars and Capricorn is actually good, could be a good placement for people who are successful or who want to have their own, business, or people who have just a lot of drive and ethics and how they get things done in terms of work. But also, it's 25th degree. His Mercury's at the 13th degree. He's got some Aries degrees in there. And his sun is at the first degree. He's got some Aries degrees in his chart, and this is why in my readings I do stress degrees, because degrees give us more insight. So because of that, there can be an impulsive nature to him. Mars and Libra, don't get it, twisted. She's a Mars and Libra. Sometimes Mars and Libra can be passive aggressive. Mars and Libra can, not want to be the bad guy, believe they're on the right of things. Mars and Libra is more likely to want to resolve things, but Mars is, still a planet of dominance, and so Mars and Libra sometimes looks at things like, let's do what's right. Like, still, like, we're gonna do this because this is what's right, and maybe her having a willingness to compromise on some things. But Mars and Capricorn energy is like, no, it's this way. Right? No, 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 no. We're not going to compromise. This is what his energy could be saying. We're not compromising. Also, being careful of, he has Mars conjunct Uranus. Now, again, when abuse, we did see the camera footage of the abuse on one end, but also understand, like, violence. If there is violence in the situation, Mars conjunct Uranus can represent a person who struggles with their impulse control. Now, the thing with Capricorn is he might be smart enough to pick and choose when to do it. The thing about Aquarius energy is very smart. Very smart. He's probably not going to show this side to everybody, right? Now, again, this stellium is not a bad thing if he goes for his dreams and goals and work and things of that nature. Stelliums actually could be really, this Mars, Uranus, Neptune stellium he has in Capricorn. But also understand, when it comes to relationships, there's going to be some issues, especially because her Venus opposes his Mars. And so the opposition is something they really have to would again, I don't think they're going back together. It's not a good idea. It doesn't sound like, um of her wanting to be vulnerable in a relationship. Like, I get this from KeKe's chart. Like, she wants to be vulnerable. She wants to feel safe, but then it's a fear of, like, it's kind of like she doesn't know what to expect from it, and that's really hard for a Virgo. For a Virgo to, like, whoa, I don't know what to expect. But if he's got the moon in Taurus, but then he's thinking he is. No, I've always been the same. I haven't changed. She's changed, right? This is likely the dynamic, and that was going back and forth here. So even the fact that her Venus is opposing his Uranus, her Venus is opposing his Neptune, right? There's a disconnect there where they constantly feel like they're on the odds in terms of things. She might feel a lot of times like she's not getting what she needs. She doesn't feel like she's treated softly enough in that relationship. She might feel like, wow, yes, I'm Keke Palmer, yes, I'm entertaining, yes, I'm fun, but I need you to be, treat me like a lady, treat me right. And she might sometimes feel like he treats her as just like his. Again, you be careful. Aquarius energy, especially sometimes males Aquarius, treats a relationship like they think it should be based on what society says it should be. So sometimes, again, Aquarius can be an impersonal sign. It feels really impersonal dealing with Aquarius energy. Moon sometimes too. It feels hard to connect. And as a Venus in Cancer, she's likely going to be someone that wants to feel connected, feel safe, feel secure, right? But Aquarius doesn't always give that in return. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with either sign by nature. It just means it's a different energy. And if people, it doesn't matter what your sign is, if you have unhealed energy, if you have unhealed experiences from your past, and you have to be careful of what that can look like for you in your experiences now. If you have unhealed energy, unhealed trauma from your family, it can manifest in your relationships. Like, I don't really want to talk as much about this, but also even here, just the fact, like, her Mars is conjunct Jupiter. She is an expressive, bright, vivacious person, and this relationship was bringing her down. This relationship, like, the way she was feeling was not probably not like herself, right? And so, if we look at Jupiter's ideas of, even sometimes you look at Jupiter as a marriage partner or potential partner. Juno is more important for that. I believe her Juno's in Virgo. I think his is in Scorpio. I would have to double check. But even that, like, peace, right? Like peace, harmony. Not somebody that's always trying to one up you, someone that's playing mind games. That can happen a lot with Aquarius people. Unevolved Aquarius can play mind games on you. And that Virgo in her is like, oh no, I'm gonna raise you one better, right? So it becomes a mental battle. Then it starts to feel like, you're constantly trying to one up somebody else in an argument or in a situation, right? So she released the video, and then he released the his journal. No, he released the video he released the video. She released the video. And apparently then he sent something to some YouTuber about, like, oh, look at what I've been going through, like some notes he had. And that's what I said, you got to be careful, because look at that Venus in Aquarius, right? Of contextualizing relationships in the sense of using media, using technology. Aquarius, I wasn't surprised. He had even the video where he recorded her mother threatening him. Aquarius, he's going to use some technology against her. But also, Mars is how we deal with conflict. He's going to try to overpower the situation. He's definitely going to try to do something with the custody. I wouldn't say definitely, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be something. Right? Mars and Capricorn, you pull all his strings, pull anyone important that he knows, right? Whereas Mars and Libra, she's still going to show that she's willing to compromise. She's willing to, she might even release a statement. She just wants to co-parent peacefully. She just wants to, move on, right? But Mars and Libra, at the end of the day, still is a sign that is sometimes going to, can go to, she has to be careful. Like, don't, if he's not safe to be around again based on allegations, don't, she should feel, you know, go, go do what you have to do, because Mars and Libra energy sometimes can be too accommodating because it's afraid to kind of rub someone the wrong way, right? And I'm not saying she should incense him or anything like that. Of course, because they were born within a year of each other, there are going to be similar placements. Saturn, and they both have Saturn in Aquarius conjunct. Hers is in retrograde, which deals with her finding her voice and her influence among groups of people. Growing up in Hollywood was probably a little hard for her, even though she was successful. So I think now, as a grown woman, obviously she is finding space where she knows who she is in regards to other people. Saturn is leadership, right? Saturn can be someone who is older and wiser, and like over time, she is going to likely fall into that Saturn Aquarius situation where Saturn Aquarius becomes more aware of their influence over the masses, over the groups, and they kind of take on that maturity, right? I think that's a good part of it. Of course, they also have the same Uranus and Neptune sign. I don't think that's really significant. KeKe has more retrograde energy than he does. So she definitely has more lessons that she needs to really embark on, learn, and identify opportunities to really build herself up through the lens of being more, secure in terms of who she is and knowing her value and all those different things. And with him, they both have the same north node, the same south node. I'm hoping they learn something from this, even if somebody needs to just step away, get some therapy, get some help, right? Like, looking at the situation, because what happens with these toxic relationships is people don't get, when you get caught up in the he did this, she did this, right? Sometimes people go and get help, and sometimes people don't. So I do think that's part of it. Is like, if they really want to learn their lesson, if they're both North Node in a Sagittarius, purpose and truth. Find your, no matter what it is, even if he doesn't want to admit something or she doesn't want to admit something, like for themselves, they would benefit. Don't do that. The South Node and Gemini stuff, they're going to talk, right? This is what, and there's nothing wrong with telling your story if you have been harmed by somebody. But the North Node Sag energy requires them to learn something from this journey so they can become wiser and make different decisions in the relationships in the future.